Well, in my mind, he should have known.
Well, he was in and out. He was
Yeah,
on the street.
buildings.
Okay, let's call this meeting to order. It's Thursday, December 12th, 2013 at 10 o'clock and begin with the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Wagner?
I'm here.
Commissioner Stacy?
Here.
Commissioner Zoller?
Here.
Could we sign the journal? Was there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. The agency stuff was for 10:30. Is that okay with everybody? Okay, all right. Let's go into old business then.
Old business, I checked into the lodging tax I got with Rhonda Best, assistant prosecutor, and talked to her about it. And it's just as simple as us passing a resolution, increasing it to the 3% from the 2% to the 3%. And it can be just the same way to take it back off, because you had asked if we could at a later date rescind it, and we can. And there's no special hearings that we would have to do for this one. It's just same as we did. We just passed a resolution. I have one because you seemed to indicate that you would like to proceed with this, so I do have a resolution prepared for that if you'd like to proceed. But yes, the answer is yes, that it can be rescinded if it's not.
Yeah, and the reason for that is that the tax is to be used for the Visitors Bureau. If we find out that the Visitors Bureau is not being proactive, and we have some dissension among some of the hotel motel owners and so forth, that we're not getting things done properly, then we have the right as commissioners to go ahead and pull that tax back off. But again, the advantage of it is not being paid by any Seneca County residents that we know of.
If you choose to go stay in the hotel locally.
Yeah.
You want to do
Yeah, I
that,
don't
or
wanna
you
go
need,
there.
or you need
I
to.
don't wanna go there.
But the Visitors Bureau is contracted with us to perform those services.
Right.
So, that in itself will help with that.
Yes.
And the fact that John had outlaid all of the steps and things with, question I know I had, you guys had, with what other in the surrounding area. And I'm a solid believer that we got to do the marketing, and it is paid by our visitors, but people shop for their hotels based on the room rate, and they don't always compare the taxes and ask that question. And all around us, everybody's at the max at the 3%.
Yep.
So-
I would make a recommendation that we accept, or we pass the resolution to accept the additional bed tax.
Is there a second?
I will second.
Do you want to read that? So it's-
I'll put the title in. I have authorizing the amendment of the 2% lodging excise tax to a 3% lodging excise tax effective January 1st, 2014 for Seneca County, Ohio.
Okay, any further discussion? I have two things. I had a question from a bed and breakfast owner. This will in no way include them in that. There's no language in there.
Because they currently do not, we did not change any of those.
That you can do that, but this does not do that.
Right.
Because I looked into that,
Okay.
and you would have to have the wording of such, and that, again, like she said, it wasn't already in place, so they still are not gonna be.
Do bed and breakfasts pay a tax if you,
Well, they
No,
pay,
only if we had it
just a
implemented.
sales
they
tax,
pay the sales tax and property tax.
but not a bed tax?
They don't pay that tax. And it would be a minuscule amount because it's based on the number of rooms available. And so, obviously, bed and breakfast doesn't have the rooms a hotel has. So, John and I talked about it. He said, I just don't see that as being, again, that helps us. And that's just a unique setting. It's not where people do that comparison.
And they're not full most of the time.
Right.
Most of the time they're
Right.
sitting empty. Okay, and I just say the same thing I said last week. Any new or increased taxes, tax somebody has to pay, and I just think we're taxed enough. Other discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Zoller?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
No. All right, any other old business?
The only other old I would have is budgets, and I know we have a couple departments coming in for that, so I can wait on that one.
Okay. Okay. old business from the board?
The only comment that I wanted to make is I misinformed this board is, I was originally told that the ODOT has approved the contract for the 53 study, and later found out from the engineering firm that because of whatever issue is that the contract cannot be awarded until January. It had something to do with the end of the year, what
Fiscal year.
ODOT can do and can't do, and, because I was in contact with the engineering firm and trying to be proactive on how we could start the process and the whole system, and they said, Fred, we physically don't have the contract yet, so I can't legally start doing things for this study. And then they explained to me why. They said they're gonna get the contract, but it's not gonna be till January 15th, so legally they can't do anything right now. So, and I was under the impression that the contract was already awarded.
Okay.
So, I'm just trying to update the board on.
Yeah, I thought DLC got it, but they don't.
Well, DLZ did, they're gonna get the contract, but because of whatever regulations, ODOT can't award the contract physically
Okay,
until January 15th.
okay, okay. All right, other old business from the board? All right, do you guys wanna go next before we get into all our resolutions and stuff? Don't have any? Okay. We have, or would you rather, you go now or you can wait?
That's fine. If you want us to go now, that's
Okay,
fine.
okay, we'll let you go now and you don't have to listen to everything.
I guess,
I was gonna have a call on you this morning, so this is a good one.
do what?
I was gonna put a call on you this morning as I'm going through the budgets.
Oh, okay. I guess the biggest thing, I know there's questions as to the budget, especially like in our office with the increase in the line item as to salary. Approximately, I'm requesting a $30,000 increase, and the predominant reason is, when I took office, everything was pretty rough. The economy, state of affairs, things like that. And the budget originally was only 30,000 in there for salaries, and 30,000 is not going to pay 3 people. We relied heavily on the DTAC fund at that point in time, but DTAC fund, currently I ran these numbers, our carry forward's 27,523.18. The income coming in for 2014, which is certain at this point in time, is $37,045.09. And there's encumbrances for 2013 is $51,581.30. That's how heavily we have to rely on the DTAC fund. And the carry forward to 2014 is down to $15,206. We cannot, in our office, we cannot keep going that avenue. That fund was never very large when I took office. It basically was a wash, but the last few years, we've heavily had to rely upon the DTAC fund in order to carry on the functions. Same 3 staff members, we haven't increased any employees or anything like that. And the other, and that's the large part of the increase for DTAC purposes, because it'll be drained in a matter of a couple of years.
Dane, what is
It'll be
DTAC? What does
negative.
that stand for?
It's a delinquent real estate tax assessment collection fund. And basically what it is when tax bills are late, then the penalty, well, you have the amount that's paid, 5% of that gets split between the prosecutor's office and the treasurer's office to go towards the aid of the collection of delinquent real estate taxes. So the prosecutor's office and the treasurer's office split in half the amount of that 5% that's collected.
So what
And
you're
that's set
telling
by
me
statute.
is you've been supplementing your budget, and I'm sorry, because I'm a newbie here.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
that's fine.
understand. You've been supplementing your budget because people have been late on their taxes. As long as there's enough people late on your taxes, you can operate your department. But if people were current, those funds wouldn't be available.
In
Is that
general
kind of boiled down
terms,
to
yeah, yeah. If 100% everybody paid, there'd be no income coming in to fund DTAC. It's not one of those other funds like just in our building. For instance, you have the RA fund. That's another big fund that sits out there. But that's going to be a yearly fund that's always going to accumulate because that's based on assessments. You're always going to have assessments every year, things like that. DTAC, yes, in general terms, yes. That
Theoretically, as the
could.
economy improves, your funds go less.
That's the
Or everyone
goal.
else, I mean, I'm trying to boil it
Yeah.
down to real simplistic terms, but everyone else is increasing as the economy improves. But in your case, supposedly there would be less delinquent taxes in an improved economy. Your income goes down.
Yes,
That kind
that's
of
the
in very
hope.
simple terms.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, we should hope, I think as a county as a whole, that we limit our DTAC numbers. I mean, realistically, because it goes to the healthy status of your county too, when people are paying their taxes and things like that on time, that's always a good thing. And my goal is never to, let's try and increase that fund, because that's not a good sign anyhow. But, no, I mean, but I think that fund has always been used heavily in the past. I can't speak before I was there. But when I came into office, it was never a large fund. And some counties around the state, some counties have $1 million. One county not too close to us has $1 million in their DTAC fund. But that county is a little bit different because they have a high sales tax revenue and they're not forced to ever do any budget cuts. So therefore that money just accumulates. Now, do I agree with $1 million in that fund? No. But the whole point is, I mean, it varies county to county as to what those balances are. And we're probably getting to be one of the few counties with this low of a balance in the DTAX fund from the treasurers I've spoken with. I mean, it seems like the average is around 80 to 100,000 because it will roll over every year. You know, and some use it for various other programs, things like that, but some don't have to rely on it. We do heavily based on just with the way the budget was set up when I took office. And you can always relate it back to its purpose for the collection of delinquent real estate tax funds just because the economy, everything else, we have quite a few taxpayers that are always calling, and we're trying to work with them, whether it be a contract or they're going to pay it at a certain time or things like that. Or with the prosecutor's office going back and forth towards those collection activities.
What are those percentage, I mean, it's of the delinquent real estate, I mean, on a percentage of all the real estate buildings that go out?
What our
Delinquent,
counties is?
delinquent, yeah.
I'll have to get back to you. I'm trying to get the report, but there's a few things in the office where we got a little downtime right now
Okay.
to see, because the auditor's office, they just implemented their new software in October, and they're doing some rollover and things like that right now, because I've been wanting to get that report to
I mean,
calculate.
obviously it's a
'cause I wanted
target
to-
because there's the, first half, second half, but I'm just curious, like just on one of those buildings, do we get,
Well,
80% of it in without begging, or do we?
No, I mean, I think it's going to vary, because some people, you might see a lot of people just catch up second half too, and that's going to vary year by year, because penalty would only be on the first half amount. So some people just, okay, I got all this money, let's just pay it all in full. And a lot depends too on income tax refunds, things like that, because a lot of people will pay based off that and what they're going to get. But I kind of like to see what the end of the year is as to that delinquent, what we are as a proportion, go back with the prosecutor's office, revamp on our collection methods.
We don't do a lot of begging, we have the prosecutor send them a nasty grant.
Names in the
Yeah.
paper, and yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think overall, I think it's fairly consistent year to year. I mean, we're not one of those, like, I don't think, I know Sandusky County went to tax sales, things like that, because their delinquency rate, what did I see? I think Irma sent out an email the other day, 11-some%. So it was pretty high. That's a very high delinquency rate. I think the average around on most of the county treasurers I've seen is about 2 to 4 or 5%.
Okay.
So I mean, it's you're getting it collected, but the goal is to collect it on time. But things happen with people's lives and situations, employment, things like that. So, and our goal is always to never try and foreclose, but let's get payment plans. Let's get you caught up. Something that's workable.
I mean, that's addressing the revenue side. And one of the things I would like, I know you're a small department, only have a couple
Yeah.
employees. I'd like to just, before we make a final decision, I'd like to see how, for comparable sized counties, do they have more or less people in there than what you have in a treasurer's department?
The ones getting information, I sent out an email back as to what salaries were, things like that in their departments. I think most counties, it is about an average of 3. Unless you get along the eastern side of the county, like Guernsey County, Pike County, some of those, that's really like right on the border with West Virginia, things like that. Those counties are a lot smaller. Some have picked up people because of the whole shale Boom.
Yeah.
It's kind of picked
How
up
about
a
like
lot of
Sandusky
things.
and Hancock? the
But
surrounding
Hancock is actually larger. They got about 4 people. I did not get salary data. Steve did not submit salary data to me. I can easily get that. But like Allglaze, they're not too far away. They're a smaller county than we are. They got 2 people making 2 people and a part-time staff member. Their salaries, they just went through a wage study too, I think, through Clemens Nelson. $18.36 an hour. Fulton County. Deputies $15.50, chief deputies $22.74. They have, I believe, 2 full-time and multiple part-time. Union County, average $15.59, maximum $17.90, and I believe they have 3. Geauga County, they have, I believe, 3 full-time, part-time. 15 years experience, 1773, 6 years, 1380, 25 years, 1773. Chief deputy makes 2214. Defiance County, 3 people, highest 15, lowest is 1255. That's less than 5 years experience. Average 1368. I did send an email blast out to all the counties, kind of to gauge, see where people are as to their wages.
So basically, comparable sized county, they have 3 in that department, in the treasurer's department.
Yeah, Allglaze, Fulton, Union, Defiance are all smaller than we are. If you look, I don't know how it is set with the Commissioners Association. They set us up in population groups. Your population groups is tied to how you're getting paid and your salary. Seneca's Group 3 for Treasurer's Office, and Union, Fulton, Allglaze, and Defiance are smaller than we are. They're in the next step down, a Group
Yeah.
4. Geauga County is the same size, comparable size, and I think they're 3 counties to the east of us, towards Cleveland area. So, yeah, that's the only salary data I was able to accumulate. And I look at Allglaze kind of like a good factor because they actually went through an actual salary study. I mean, I'm all in favor of. I'd like to see fairness across the board for employees. We have clerks in various departments. They should all be making around the same. It's hard to sit there and justify somebody in our office at 5 years at $10.75 when a different department on a brand new clerk position can pay $13 an hour. And it seems like if go around, you guys have the data at your hands. You can easily get as to payroll, and look and see that hey, it's like $13 an hour. People are starting at. So when we have somebody at 5 years at $10.75, then I got somebody at 14, 15 years at $12.50. Yet somebody starting out, I mean, there's no fundamental fairness in the department at all. It's very bad for morale, everything else. And I don't know how to explain it to employees and say, well, they're worth more than you are.
But
I mean,
yeah,
it's
and
hard
you would
to-
have to compare, I mean, make sure it's a comparable job responsibilities and expectations coming in. I know you're
Yeah.
saying clerk in general, but I don't know what other department you're talking about, but I know that would
You
be
can
one
take
thing you'd have to
various.
we'd have to look at. You just can't look
Yeah,
at
but I mean-
the hourly rate, but
But I mean, you sit there and you take the degree of responsibility. These people are responsible for thousands of dollars coming through a window a day. They're responsible.
Right.
Their responsibilities are pretty high, and you can go to the bank and start out making that as a teller, and that's a fairly high degree of responsibility there because the money's gone. It's coming out of your pocket, and that's a lot of responsibility. And we got a changing environment too. Because I think we have to start looking at counterfeiting machines in our office based on the cash coming in. There's numerous counterfeit bills that the banks have told me they're seeing an increase on. And you just can't get a simple little marker and do it. There's a whole reason why, but it's a different issue. Anyhow, but I mean, and I'm fine with fundamental fairness, but I think every department, your clerk, yeah, you're going to have those responsibilities because every department's unique in the software they got to learn, the duties they have to deal with. The level of responsibility, like our office, is a very high degree of responsibility as to the cash coming in, needing trustworthy individuals. We've seen from around the state of fraud issues, things like that.
You're talking about fairness between departments. You're talking about within Seneca County departments or departments of Seneca County, Sandusky County, Hancock County.
I'm saying in Seneca County.
Within it, okay.
Yeah.
It seems to me, Damon, I hear what you're saying. We have kind of a twofold issue. One, we have potential appropriation needs for your county, and then two, more of a fairness, more of a macro level, let's call it, fairness or equality within the county as far as salary requirements and so forth. That's more of a macro issue that needs to be adjusted and dealt with at a later time. But right now, the immediate concern from your standpoint is how to fund your current staff level, which you've proven is comparable to other size counties. As a matter of fact, we may be a little less, so for us to think that we can take some funds out by reducing staff is not an option here.
No, because
And-
I would probably come unglued with that. I'm the one that
Yeah,
prints up
I
all the
understand.
bills, and I stuff them all myself, and I'll be there till 1 in the morning.
I hear you.
Because staff's busy answering the phones, dealing with the day-to-day operations. Because you gotta keep in mind with our staff, the treasurer's office is unique. It's unique in the sense that all the money for the county comes through our office. So we take care of sending out all the notices to all the other departments to do the pay-ins, account for all the funds coming in, all the payments that come in, all the real estate tax collection that comes in, all the other various licenses, things like that, that all have to get paid in. You may cut your check to the auditor's office for a dog tag, but guess who's paying it in? They're paying it in down to the treasurer's office. And then we also have to cover the other side of bookkeeping. The auditor's office, yes, they handle the main accounting function, but there's also the other side, the bookkeeping aspect. So they have multiple roles the staff members are playing as to doing the accounting along with the bookkeeping side of it. It's not just one segregated group that says, okay, you guys only deal with the real estate, you guys only deal with the accounting side of it. We can't do that. It's intertwined. We're not a large enough county. Some counties, you get into Franklin, things like that, yeah, they got one department of 5-10 people that do delinquent taxes, one department that only does tax collection, one department that only does the accounting function. We don't have that opportunity. So actually, yes, we probably are a little lower in staff needs, and that's fine. I just want to see, I'm not asking for more or part-time, I'm just asking fundamental fairness for employees, because you have somebody at 14 years going on 15, making less than somebody just starting out, yet you have that same degree of responsibility, if not higher on them, as to properly accounting for things, learning the accounting functions, learning all the processes, handling the taxpayer complaints, and having the knowledge, requisite knowledge to take care of that. That's
Yeah,
Also, it's kinda
I
like
hear you loud and
twofold.
clear for the equality. I guess my last question is, in a what-if syndrome, what if there just isn't funds available? What options do you have in to run your department?
if there's no funds available.
If there is no additional funds available, I'm just saying if, what options are available to you then? What would you have to do if we just say, you know what, there's not that extra 30,000? I'm not saying that, but
Our
if we
overall
did-
budget's only 120,000. I mean, out of the general fund. So if there's no other money, you're almost paying next to nothing anyhow. You only cover 30,000 in salaries, and we have a little bit contract services. And part of that, I don't know where we could, because contract services are
What-
necessary
what
items.
would-
Out of the
what would
general fund,
happen?
there's no cuts. Well, I guess we run DTAC till it's empty. There's no funds
And that's only
available till it's
15,000.
exhausted.
That's only 15,000, so we would have enough at the catastrophic situation.
Mm-hmm.
You could run it for 6 months at current level, because you need 30,000, there's only 15,000 left in DTAX. You'd run out of funds?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, technically I would probably in 6 months, yes. If you keep your budget the same, we probably would. And I don't think you could sit there and cut staff and everything else. Not the needs. Because the one thing you got to keep in mind too, in this information age we live in, a lot of people don't realize this, a lot of taxpayers get angry with us for this. The mortgage companies now have these offshore sites. They're calling you consistently all day long, checking up on parcels, making sure taxes are paid, real estate taxes are paid. They do this year long, all the time. I talk to them myself all the time. So, I mean, it's not like you can reduce your numbers, because during our busy collection times, people are already calling and saying, I can't get through to him, I can't get through to him. It's like, we got 3 windows and they're all being occupied and one person's on the phone. So, I mean, the worst thing you can do is sit there and not help the taxpayer at the customer and the line's out the door and you're just sitting there on the phone. So I mean, it's kind of a catch-22 you have in that limited time frame, trying to appease everybody and not create too much ill will.
You put a pretty compelling case.
Now,
You've done your job.
what was the balance at the beginning of your term on DTAC? Do you know that?
Oh, that I don't know,
Do you have
Jeff.
a
It
rough
was
estimate?
pretty low. I think it's always been right around 30,
Around
40 probably,
Okay.
somewhere in there. It's never been a high amount.
Okay, and you're estimating 15 at the end of 14? Is that when was that
Or end of
15,000?
End of carry
End of
forward to
14.
14. I'm showing 15,691, give or take.
Carry over end of 14. Okay.
No, carry forward to 14.
Carry forward. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, because the income from 2013 has not been applied yet.
Okay. Okay.
And how much is income for 13?
37. Well, I should say, I guess about 40.
You're gonna have 40 plus the 15, so you're gonna have 55,000 in the D-tax fund.
No.
Correct?
I'm only going to have carry forward to 14 is 15,206. What I did
Yeah, but you
was
said
take
you didn't have receipts for 13 that were added yet, which was the 40.
into the DTAC fund itself. I don't know how to really explain their accounting software. It sits there and shows the DTAC fund as this balance, but it shows the income on a different report as being these two line items, okay? Which would be, give or take, approximately 40,000. I missed the 2,219 that came through from foreclosure sales as part of the 5%. But it doesn't subtract off from that balance in your software. You have to do it yourself. Of our encumbrances for 2013, which is the treasurer's office has encumbrances, all of our contracts, things like that, obligations, 51,581 and 30 cents. So when I take the carry forward plus this year's receipts, less this year's encumbrances, I come up with 15,206 and 91 cents to go as carry forward into 2014. That's why, like you said, you're not going to have enough money to go forward with it, and you're 100% correct. We would run out at 15,206 based on the income level by basing on this year.
But you're
and it's
gonna
been
get-
right around.
You're not adding receipts in though for D-tax for,
Next year.
yeah.
Yeah, I would still be at a deficit.
You're going to bring in about 40 each year.
Yeah, so if I keep the same current spending level that we've had to in the past at 51,000, I only bring in 40,000.
Plus the 15.
Well, I guess, yeah, you're right. 40
It's
plus 15
55.
would be 55. We'd
You would-
have about 1 year. You're right,
Yeah.
about 1 year, and then we'd,
You'd be down to $5,000 you'd have
Exactly.
to carry over.
Exactly.
This time next year.
yes,
This time next year, let's say if you didn't get the funds this year, you could operate all of this year, but next year, at this time, you'd come to us and say, it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna, that's worst case scenario.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying.
but, and I really do not want to reach that point because there's a couple things, small equipment purchases. That's kind of like why DTAC fund I think should be out there. So we don't have to come here and say, okay, we need 3 currency / counterfeit counters that we each station can have, because I think it's bad policy to ever take somebody, if they bring in a stack of money to you, let me go in the back and count this cash out. You want to keep it in plain view right there in case there's an issue or somebody miscounted. You'd be surprised how often that happens. I miscount cash for taxpayers all the time, but you got to keep it in front of them. Anyhow, that's kind of the purpose of that fund. So I don't have to come here and things like that every time on a small purchase item of $1,500 or something like that, which it is a large amount for our office, but in the grand scheme of what the commissioners deal with, it's not a large expenditure request.
I think that's the quote you want to get. I miscount taxpayer money all the time.
Yeah, no, we write it. They're standing right there looking at me. Those new bills stick together. Have you seen the new hundreds?
I'm sorry.
Thank you, David.
And David, since that was a double on the salary line in the wish list budget submission, so that, is it correct to assume then that's based on, would be a 50% a raise? I mean,
I do have some increases in pay on that based on some of the data I've got from other departments.
not for yourself as an elected official.
I can't,
understand.
yeah.
But I'm just, but
To kind of
that's,
bring it more in line
because
with
even
what others
though
are.
I know, an equity, an issue
Yeah.
and those kinds of things, that percentage is a factor
Yeah.
for us as we look at these things for everyone, because if someone's giving,
Yeah.
huge raises here and someone's giving one, it just, something we gotta
But-
keep in our heads too.
That's true, but at the same time, I would submit those other departments, if their wages are already higher, they've got the benefit of that wage increase in the past. Keep in mind, 2 staff members in our office are like, one's under 20,000 a year for a full-time job. And that's not counting into, that's just a gross running the numbers, not taking into your deduction for your health insurance, things like that. I got another staff member that nets $400 a biweekly pay. So, I mean.
But there's more into that we can't get into here.
True.
Without choices, but I mean.
True, but I mean, if their gross is only at 20,000 or less, how's that comparable? It's not. And the other departments, if their staff are higher than that, then obviously they've had the benefit of a raise before to bring their salary more comparable. Ours just hasn't, which is a shame that it's not comparable, but.
Other questions for Dave?
I mean, just in discussion on raises that I know that we're gonna be bringing up at a later point, either later today or future in the budget. My recommendation is if we do elect to offer some raises to the county employees, to general fund employees this year, I'm gonna recommend that each department would have to submit a comparison data of comparable sized counties on where their wages are before I could authorize to give any wages to any specific departments.
And that's fine, but, and I did furnish some, multiple
Yeah,
counties,
yeah.
5, 6 counties. The other thing, the one thing too with pay that I think is often neglected and not, really remembered is, we're only paying based on a 35-hour week. Okay, it's not the same as the private sector at a 40-hour week. Okay, and we've had a lot of factors that have changed too for employees, HSAs, things like that. And the private sector, I'm not following the commissioners, but you typically look at the private sector, go talk to banks, go talk to anybody else. The HSA contribution amount by the employers is substantially different than what we do on the county level. We do $250 and $500. Private sector family plans are doing $1,500, $2,500.
What I'm gonna ask for
So,
is
I mean, it's one of
comparable
those things.
of county employees in other comparable sized counties,
Yeah.
not the private sector.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I understand it, but I mean, there's a few factors that differs
Yeah.
from us as a county to that of the private sector. One's a work week, so if somebody sits there and looks at it per hour, what's they actually work the number out? Because then it is more realistic. It sounds maybe higher, but no, we're paying, when you work out your yearly amount, it's, you know, maybe in the 20s, mid, low 20s, you know, and that's not a substantial amount of money somebody's making. So.
Thank you for
Thank
that.
you.
Appreciate it. Mr. Dell, you wanna go ahead?
I don't want to sound like a broken record, so I won't hash it over, but most of the points that Mr. Alt brought up, I feel the same way. The only difference between his department and mine is that I have an employee that's going to be retiring, and a large sum of that is going for their buyout payout.
So that's where the difference is basically 19,000. A large
A
part of
large
that,
part of that is going to go for the
over
buyout.
50% of it,
Yes.
for the buyout.
But I don't have the exact figures. I've been working with bookkeeping because if they take any time off between now and the retirement date, it's not gonna make a huge difference, but it's still,
Yeah. Well, correct me here, and again, since, have patience with me since this is my first year, but I remember the beginning of this year that we bought out a couple employees who retired, and I recall one of our first meetings last year that we had to appropriate an additional 30,000 for buyout that I was told wasn't budgeted for because typically those buyouts come out of general funds, comes out of the commissioners here and not out of the departments, but here I'm hearing from the recorder that he's budgeted in there. I mean.
well, that's what I understood was, you know.
But here we
come out
got,
of my salary line.
That was Board of Elections, wasn't it?
Board of Elections and one other. and the
yeah,
other.
but if we're gonna do what, I mean,
Well,
should
I
this
think
not
that was
be?
in an unknown thing, but I guess, I mean, like, in fairness to him, yeah, we want you to put it in yours, and we're not going to in the others, but
Yeah,
sometimes you may not know that retirement's going to occur, and then what do? You're expected to pay it, we'd have to cover it.
Right.
But I think in this case, you're foreseeing it, therefore
and-
justifying why you asked what you did.
And the other part of that was, again, not to rehash, but I have an employee 25 years, and there's someone that's been in the department for a year, maybe a little more, that makes $1.25 less. And they have comparable responsibilities and duties.
One thing I would say is so that we're uniform in it's, all departments can't budget for retirement, because let's say someone decides that in July they're gonna retire at the end of the year. Well, you can't budget for that, so that would be a non-budgeted item. So my suggestion here would be to pull that figure out of what you estimated there
I can do that.
for that, and then we can look at it strictly comparing apples to apples there.
Okay.
And that's something that we have
Yeah,
to.
unless we're gonna have a policy that they're gonna have to cover those, but that we can't. I mean,
Yeah,
we
that-
end up having to take care of that, so that's probably what you
Yeah,
should do.
that's gonna
I
come
was
out
under
of
the impression that, you know.
I appreciate
I
that.
had to,
No,
But-
we appreciate your foresight in looking into that, but
Yeah.
I do think that's probably more,
We just have
treat
to get
everybody
that
more equally.
contingencies,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah, because the others, they didn't, I mean. or
Because we didn't see it coming.
They didn't know
we
it was coming, yeah.
So it's
Right.
usually treated out of.
so Mike, if you could come back and pull that figure out
Okay.
of there
I
of
can
what
do
you're
For that
projecting for your budgets,
Sure.
then
'Cause
we
we'll-
can look at it more apples to apples.
right now I'm working on it with the payroll department, so.
And you don't have to come back, just send it over. you know,
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Unless you want to.
And just to add, I did ask comparable size counties for their payroll information. They didn't really want to give that to
That
them.
just kills me, it's like.
I know,
one
it's
of the
I know it's
first
public
things-
record, you know, I could make the request. I had a few tell me they don't want to put it in writing. Definitely don't want to put it in writing, but, yeah, and I only want the counties that were comparable size that we are. And, they were paying a little more than we are, especially
I
for
know,
length
but I
of
think
service.
that's information that the board's gonna need as we look at potential raises. I know, during the campaign, that's all I kept hearing is that county hasn't got a raise in, umpteen years. But then when you start talking with some of the departments, well, they gave raises last year and this guy didn't get a raise. I'm going, whoa, I didn't think anybody got a raise for 5 years. No, certain departments did, certain didn't. So before I could authorize, if we decide to give raises out this year, I mean, for any vote from my standpoint, the department's gonna have to come in and gonna have to give us a comparison before I could actually do that. And I don't know if we gotta to court order that from other counties, because it's public records, but
You
I
don't
don't
have
wanna
to
be
court
paying.
order it, I mean.
I don't want other counties
I can make
comparable.
a public records request to them,
Yeah.
you know, that's not a problem.
I just don't want that another county's paying $15 and we're paying $18, all of a sudden we're giving our people a raise. Then I think that's exorbitant then. I'm sorry, that's my feeling there.
Let me just ask both of you directly, but when you say other employees are making more than yours, you're both comparing to the auditor, correct?
Or, I
There's-
wouldn't necessarily say that. You do, to some extent, because we're all in the same building. But, not to interrupt you, but you do hear and see clerk positions coming up starting at like 13 an hour. Or you talk to various department heads for their clerk, whether it be just other different departments too. I've heard that too as well. And then
We
also,
all
like,
have similar duties and
Yeah.
responsibilities.
but
You're
the-
hiring with different levels of experience or anything
yeah,
like that.
and I would like to note for our office, every single employee has a minimum of an associate's degree. All three are in business. So, I mean, it is higher than just a regular high school education.
Yeah, but
They
wouldn't
do
you be comparable to Sandusky County's Treasurer's Department? Sandusky County's Recorder's Department? Forget what
For-
the auditor does in Tiffin or the engineer does in Tiffin. The responsibilities of your department should be a direct comparison of similar size county, that same department. There's where I would make the comparisons with more than within the county. I don't know enough about everyone's responsibility to say if the auditor's got more than the treasurer, or the recorder's got more than this or that, but comparing you with other size counties, department-wise, that seems to me would be the, you know,
Just on payroll or responsibilities?
well, on payroll, because I would assume recorders in Sandusky County,
Yeah, we're creatures of the statute.
they would
I mean,
have
we
the same, their staff would have comparable responsibilities as what yours does.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so there, if they're at $12 to $18 an hour, that would be the direct comparison, not comparison you with the clerk in an auditor's department. So there's the thing that I think, I know from a business standpoint, a sales manager and a sales manager should make comparable monies in similar sized companies. Not to compare a sales manager with a production manager within the same company.
But, yeah, and then to follow up with that, I mean, if you're gonna look at comparable counties, I mean, you're almost gonna have to take a look at the population sizes, things like that. I showed you counties that are smaller. Keep in mind, Hancock County, well, actually, no, they are in our same size too. I was thinking they were a lot larger. They are about 20,000, I think, population higher. Wood County is the one I was thinking that. Jill Engel did give me data. Her data is by far a lot higher than ours per pay.
The population and demographics, absolutely. The
But,
comparison, us to Cuyahoga County, Summit County,
But I mean, how many comparisons do we need? I furnished you with 6, and we're already well below by dollars.
yeah.
And they're smaller counties. So, and the only problem, like with regards to the treasurer's office in Sandusky, we are differing a little bit in what we're doing. We haven't moved to tax sales in our county. We haven't said, here's this block of delinquent taxpayers, we're just selling off, you better get it paid within a year, you're gonna get hit with 18% interest. Well, some counties like that because it clears off their delinquency. I still would like to see, working something out with taxpayers. There are the delinquent tax contract, things like that in place where they can get that paid off without incurring more fees and more fees and more fees. Because if you're already struggling to pay it, more fees is not going to be the answer to save your property. I'm sorry, I mean, that's just the way it is. But that eats up a lot of time.
Yeah. Damon,
No
what you've
question.
given us
So-
is you've looked at staffing levels of comparable size or smaller counties, and you've shown to me that your staffing level is not exorbitant. If anything, your staffing level's at the same level as what lower counties, smaller counties do, so that suffices there. You've given us comparative data on salary for comparable size or smaller size counties. So you've given what I would ask for from all the departments there. And somehow or other, Mike, that we have to court order to get this information. I mean,
You don't have to court order it.
Pardon?
You don't have to court
Well,
order it.
whatever
I just
you
make a
call it.
public records
Yeah.
request.
I mean, I would, in my mind, that's important. What Damon's given is exactly what I would look for. Staffing, size, to make sure we're not heavy or,
We're comparable.
yeah, in salary-wise.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. We
Thank you.
appreciate what you do, and thank you. All right, before we go into the regular business, let's move on to the Commission on Aging. We have a number of folks here that are somehow involved in the Commission on Aging stuff. And I think we'll start with Dwana from the area agency.
If I could make it, I'm sorry, nobody can ever shut me up. I had the opportunity, and I want to thank Mr. Joseph. He was a month ago, 3 weeks ago, I forget. I had the opportunity to, he took me over to the facility over to Mansfield. And what I knew about Commission on Aging would make a very, very, very short story. But they were very gracious and informed of a lot of activities and a lot of services that they offer over to not only Mansfield, but directly they parlay onto our local Commission on Aging. And I invited them to come in, and I apologize, I tried to invite you in on a day there wasn't so much activity, because we're hopeful to get a lot of press out of this on the different services and facilities that are available through the Commission on Aging. So, again, I invited them in, and I thank you for coming today, and Our goal is to try to get out to the people of Seneca County the things that are available, that are services that are there. All we have to do is just ask for them. And then after this meeting, we're gonna have kind of a roundtable discussion of all the different departments that interact with Commission on Aging, just to make sure that everybody knows who's on first, what's on second, and how we can all fit this thing together to benefit the people of the county. So thank you for coming, and I'll shut up now.
Well, thank you, Fred, and thank you, Commissioners, and everybody here. My name is Duana Patton. I'm the CEO of the Area Agency on Aging. And the Area Agency was formed about 40 years ago, and our mission is to be a leader and to ensure that there is an infrastructure in a 9-county region. We serve 9 counties, which includes Seneca County, and our role is to make sure that there are services and supports available to seniors, their caregivers, and the disability population in each of the 9 counties that we represent. We by no means do this alone. We do this in partnership with many organizations, and specifically here you've selected a great group of people to come in and really talk about services that are available to seniors, the disability population, and caregivers. But what I wanted to just share with you today is the Area Agency does this under the Older Americans Act, which is a federal act that says the counties and the states will have an infrastructure by which federal funds are distributed to providers who actually are the feet on the ground to do the services for seniors. We as an area agency are an administrative organization. We have a board of trustees, and we have representation from all of our counties. So here locally, Bonnie Ziegler serves on our board. Tom has also served on our board, and he is now serving on our advisory council. He's a wonderful advocate. And then we have an advisory council, individuals that represent the communities. Those folks bring a voice and a presence from those counties, because our corporate office is in Richland County, but we have a little over 100 staff, and many of them are not in the office on a day-to-day basis. They are in the counties that we serve, meeting with providers, visiting the clients who are receiving services in their homes. Because a client in our programs typically may be nursing home eligible, and so our goal is to keep them in their home. Somebody who is meets the level of care for a nursing home and is Medicaid eligible, they're going to be in our Passport program. And we administer the Passport program with our case management staff. In Seneca County, we are serving in Passport about 114 clients here in this county. Their care plans last state fiscal year totaled $1.7 million. The care plan services that they received. That might have been personal care services, homemaker service, transportation services, maybe an ERS, DME, home repair services, those types of things. But in this county, 114 individuals and their care plans totaled $1.7 million. We do that through contracts with providers who are either located here in Seneca County or are serving consumers here in Seneca County. Right now there are 9 providers that are located in Seneca County who are doing the in-home services for our consumers, and we have 87 providers who are within our 9 counties but touching the Seneca County individuals. So what we do not only just reaches the consumers and their caregivers, but it is an economic model that does also support business. Brian, I know he's going to probably get up here and talk a little bit, so I won't steal his thunder on some of the details, but Brian and his team are deemed our focal point, and they get federal funds through the area agency to serve consumers. They may be Passport consumers, but they also may be individuals who don't meet a nursing home level of care or who don't necessarily qualify for Medicaid, but still need the services. And so we make those referrals then to the local Seneca County Commission on Aging here so that they can get the services that they need. And Brian can talk about how he does that, because it's more than just the federal dollars that he gets from us, certainly. What I always like to tell people, as an area agency on aging, and we are one of 12 in the state of Ohio, and area agencies exist across the country, what we like to tell individuals is if you have or if you know of somebody who has a question or a need related to long-term care services and supports, we want them to call us. We want to be that front door. We want to be able to discern what their presenting need is, to ensure that there are not other needs that they might be missing, and then refer them to the appropriate place. Many times that is to Brian. We work with the local Job and Family Services for eligibility under Medicaid. We work with, I think the health department is here as well, make referrals to the health department, make referrals to other social service agencies here in this community. We do that and we maintain that knowledge base through what we call an Aging and Disability Resource Center. The area agency through the state is certified as the ADRN, Aging and Disability Resource. We call it a network because it's not really a center. We want to make sure it speaks to the fact that we're a network of individuals. It's a network of providers. Myself, or the area agency, Brian, other providers here belong to that ADRN. Our role as an ADRN in a group of individuals is to make sure that we understand what each of us do. It is so, and Fred, to your point, bringing us all together is so important for all of us to understand how we serve, what services we provide, what funding sources are available, so that we can make sure that we are referring consumers appropriately, that we are not duplicating services, and that we are trying to do it in a manner that is seamless and not frustrating for consumers who are trying to navigate sometimes very complicated systems at a time when they have a lot of needs. So those are the things that we do, and the analogy that I like to give is if you go to the doctor and you've got an ailment, that doctor may be the front door to something else. They may refer you somewhere else. We like to see ourselves as the individual that says, tell us about what your problem is, tell us about your need, and we'll take care of it to the extent that we can, but we're also going to know what resources are available out there for you that might better serve those needs.
Thank you.
Question, what is the best number to, if I'm in need, and I live in Seneca County, what's the best number for me to call? Am I to call the Mansfield office? Am I to call Brian? I think that's something we want to get in the paper.
The real answer is you can call any of us, because the strength of this ADRN, if somebody calls our organization, obviously we want to, what we will do is we will do a screen and we will schedule them for an assessment. If they are Medicaid eligible, we want to make sure that we can enroll them into the Passport program. And we will do that level of assessment and that level of eligibility working with Job and Family Services. Because one of the things we want to do, if they're eligible for Medicaid, we don't want to be using up Brian's, federal funds. We don't want to certainly be eating up all the levy funds. But Brian, if you call Brian, he has that same, he doesn't want to, if someone can be eligible for Medicaid, if they meet nursing home level of care and they're Medicaid eligible, we want to put them in this Passport program. He knows. He's one of our greatest referrals. He knows to send them to us. So the answer to your question is, if we're doing what we're supposed to be doing with the ADRN, a person can call Brian, they can call us, they can call the health department, they can call Job. Any provider who is knowledgeable of other entities will get the person to the right
And
place.
I understand even, because I was talking with Pat Devine, I'm sorry she's not here today, but even United Way, I
Correct.
understand you could call them, and any one of those agencies will direct that individual to whatever
Correct.
one of the agencies that are available out there.
That is really our job. Obviously they're going to get good service at any of those entry points, but the area agency, I don't want to say we have more information, but we keep that database. I think Brian has a database probably too. So it's, if we're all doing our job right, that person is going to get to the right place. But the area agency would be the organization that would do a screen and assessment to see if they're eligible for Passport first.
Do we want to put a number in there?
Yep, it's 419-524-4144. And they ask for our Consumer Assistance Unit.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. May I take the liberties of just doing one more thing before?
Yeah.
You've got
Um,
some sort of award?
Yes, last week the area agency had its annual meeting. I know some of you were there. But we recognized Tom as our Advocate of the Year. And I wish I could present the way that Crystal did such an eloquent presentation, and it was quite meaningful. But Tom has been with the area agency for many, many years. He has done just tremendous things on behalf of consumers. He is a true advocate. He cares about people. He volunteers. He works with AARP. He has ensured in his time with our organization, and we're keeping him, and he's ensured that we always remember the consumer. He's always certain that we're connecting with the community here. He worked with Brian one year to make sure that Seneca County residents could travel to Mansfield and enjoy our Positive Aging Expo that draws hundreds of people from all over our 9 counties. Tom did that on his own. I mean, he took the initiative to make that happen. So on behalf of the area agency and anybody whose life Tom has touched, which is many, we want to recognize him here publicly, as we did at the annual meeting last week, as the 2013 Advocate of the Year. So Tom, congratulations.
Thank you.
Tom's the one that took the initiative to reach out to some inexperienced, unknowledgeable individual and connected me with Bonnie in Mansfield, and we had a nice, interesting conversation as we drove to Mansfield and talked about a lot of issues, and he's quite a unique individual.
I'd like to extend the invitation to the other 2 county commissioners too. I go down there periodically for the advisory committee, and I think DeWan would be glad to show us around in Crystal. And it's something that we don't know enough about here locally. There's a lot of money flows through there, and over $1 million for 114 in Seneca County. That's something we need to all be aware of. So I'd like to extend the invitation. I can let you know when, or I will. I'll let you know when I'm going down the next time, and maybe you can come along, or we'll work something out.
I've been through it already.
Fascinating
It's been a few
place.
years, but
Well, they've got a new facility now. Very,
Yeah, if you haven't been there in
very
6
impressive.
months, you haven't.
oh, 6
seen it.
months. No, I haven't. Been there 6 months, no.
They're doing the same thing, but they're doing it bigger and more things there.
They did a similar thing what we did with the COG. I think it was an old Kroger store or an old grocery store.
It was an old
Yes, it
grocery
was.
store.
They renovated it, and it's very nice and very, very user-friendly.
Yeah, and one of the things that we do there, and I know Brian's going to talk about, many of the services that he provides here locally, is, if an individual comes into our office or calls us or reaches us through the web or Facebook, the knowledge that we have, it may be as simple as someone needs some support because they're a caregiver. And they may need a grab bar in the tub just to be able to help better care or safely care for their loved one. And sometimes the services that we can provide is so inexpensive and simple, but it can mean a great deal to a family who's caring for a loved one. And we can also help people with, navigating through the Medicare, world and all the complications of Medicare and Medicaid, and just be able to provide them with, sometimes it's not a service in the home, but it's just resource information or knowledge that they need, when they're faced with a difficult situation. So we always say that there's no question that we haven't heard. I shouldn't say that because maybe there is. There's no question that we don't want to address if it relates to aging or caregiving or a disability.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to add anything, Brian?
Yeah, just a couple things real quick, if you don't mind. Number one, I want to say thank you to Tom Joseph. It seems like sometimes we give out awards for everything. You got the fluffiest hair today award. But, there is a chasm between word and deed, and Tom bridges that. I can honestly say that anytime Tom has come up with a great idea, he's been right there to back it up with action. Transporting our seniors down there the other year, did all that on his own, worked with my staff, and just did a fantastic job. So if there was ever an award that was deserved, Tom definitely deserves it. One thing I wanted to mention, a lot of people get the misconception that the Seneca County Commission on Aging is part of the county government. You guys know that it's not, but a lot of people see Seneca County and they automatically think that we're fall under the commissioners. We're actually a private nonprofit organization. We have one goal and one mission, and that is to see that the seniors, the 60 plus in Seneca County, are able to remain in their own homes and an active part of our community. It's real simple that way. Any means to that end, we're willing to undertake and look at. We offer a variety of services, transportation, chore service, information referral, like Duana had talked about, calling us up and finding, we get crazy requests, and we spend a good deal of time trying to sort those things out. We have a great network, or we're not using the word network, are we? Or are we? Are we okay? Network's a safe word today. We have a great network of other providers that we work with to accomplish those goals. Probably our biggest service offering, the one that everybody's most familiar with, is our nutrition services, Meals on Wheels. If you say that, doesn't matter if you go from here to California, you say Meals on Wheels, people know exactly what you're talking about. And Seneca County has a phenomenal nutrition program. One of the things we say at the office is you never have to make apologies for being the best. And we really live by that. I work with the Ohio Association of Senior Centers, covers all 88 counties in Ohio. And I never have to hang my head when I go in and say I'm from Seneca, because we have a great program here. We've got great people, and we've been able to expand our services exponentially. Just to give you an idea, I think in 97, 97, we served about 30,000 meals here in Seneca County. This year, in Seneca County and the other counties that we provide meal service to now, we're looking at serving over 150,000 meals. Next year, I anticipate serving even more. And when I reference that we've served meals in other counties, one of the things that our goal for service is Seneca County. Any way we're able to do that, we're game for it. We provide meals. Currently, we provide the hot meal service for Wyandotte County every day. And people say, well, why do you do that? Well, two reasons. Number one, it helps senior citizens in Wyandotte County. Wyandotte County does not have their own caterer that provides that meal service. We're able to do that. Number two, it generates an additional revenue that we're able to bring back here into Seneca County and use for our senior citizens. We've been able to grow our programs and grow our services in the last 16 years without any additional burden on Seneca County taxpayers. We don't ask for a levy increase every year, and we've been very successful in increasing our operation, our budget, and our overall services without doing that. We currently now provide, we have a new program we started in the last 2 years called Homestyle Selections. It allows the seniors to choose exactly what meals they want. We're able to deliver those through a wide area. Currently, we deliver in Marion, Mansfield, Richland County, Marion County, Morrow, Knox. In fact, I think we deliver to all except Ashland County. And we're able to do that, draw additional revenue, bring it back here to Seneca County, and provide more services for our seniors. We've been able to work with the area agency in Duana. Oh, goodness. It's been 16, 17 years now. We've been helping.
We were so young.
I know. I had hair back when I started.
Just babes.
It's been a long time.
It has been a long time, and I've really been fortunate to work. Duana has a great staff. She has great people, and we've been able to do a lot of things here in Seneca County. I think one day when I retire, I will write a book of all the interesting stuff we've been able to do here and the great accomplishments that we've seen. And always happy to have. I've known Jeff. I don't want to date myself, but Jeff's wife used to babysit me, so that's how far we go back. But I know Jeff is very familiar with Commission on Aging and what they do. Fred and Holly, if you ever want to come out and see what we do and see what we got going on out there, we have moved our location. Recently, we sold our building downtown on Riverside and consolidated everything out to the Somerset facility, which is out on Huron Street. Oh man, I save 100. I was putting 100 miles on my car every week just driving back and forth between the two, and so it's definitely easier on the car that way. But we're out there. We're expanding our service out there. Look for 2014 to be an even bigger year than 2013. So.
Great, thank you.
Thank
Thank you again. Thank you again.
Yes. Brian's being a little modest. He is the go-to senior center director that we would, if we have a new senior center director or someone asking a question about senior services at the local level, Brian's the one that his name gets dropped. We send him to Brian, and he and some of his partner agencies received an award. The meals that he talked about, when we had some challenges in some of our counties, all we had to do was pick up the phone, share with Brian what our challenge was is in getting these meals in other parts of our region. And I think he figured it out. Oh, I mean, he figured out how to make that happen. So, you know, here in this community, you're really lucky, and I'm not just saying that because Brian's here. I would tell him that any
She
day.
parked next to me too, and she's worried I might ding her car.
No, you wouldn't. But you're lucky to have Brian here because he is a true visionary. And truly, if you look at senior centers across the state, you have, you know, one of the most active and thriving senior centers here in this community. And it's because of Brian and certainly his board.
We are lucky to have Brian here.
Yes, you
No
are.
question about that.
Yeah, I'd just like to add that everything she said is true, and I realize what a great job Brian's doing. And one more thing, he does really nice fish fries. Brian is a very good, serious. You gotta come out there and check out his senior fish fries out there.
I catch everyone personally.
I would go,
He
Jeff,
does. I think there's hundreds of people come out there for the fish fries.
Yeah.
Great thing.
was Jeff's wife a good babysitter?
You know, Carla was great. It was Jeff that was always questioning.
Well, he was over there, the guy.
Oh, yeah.
Who were dating at the time?
Well, okay, let's don't go any further than that.
All right, any of you ladies like to add anything back there?
It's a real pleasure to work with the area agency. We have a lot of programs with them, and there's a lot of, like everyone has said, there's a lot of good programs out there for our seniors, and it's great to work with them.
Great, great.
Yeah, and I would just add, you know, I come and talk to you know, here and there. The majority of who we serve at Job and Family are children and seniors. You know, so when I tell you we do over $1 million in food assistance a month, majority of that is kids and seniors. So it's a nice network.
Okay, thank you.
It's nice to have departments work so well together and have such stellar departments as we've got here. And I'm looking forward to sidebarring here if you guys have a few moments to, after it's all said and done.
Okay, we're ready for the agenda. You're welcome to stay, or you can, oh, we have something afterwards.
Yeah, we're gonna start it.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, bill vouchers 146 to 150. I have a resolution authorizing an appropriation adjustment within the SFY14 Community Corrections Fund 181, moving $11.05 from Medicare to PERS. I have a decrease to the permanent appropriations for the Community Housing Improvement Program FY11, Fund 157, reducing salaries $243.69, homeless prevention $7,083, private rehab $2,345, home building repair $8,550, WSOS administration $16,475, total reduction $34,696.69. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriation for the poll workers training grant fund 214, putting $1,020 into salary precinct workers. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations within the Sheriff Community Corrections Grant Fund 076, putting $3,558.62 into other expense and $251.80 into transfers out, total $3,810.42. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations within the Sheriff Community Corrections Grant Fund 086, putting $881.37 into other expense, $39.47 into transfers out, for total $920.84. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations within the Community Corrections Grant Fund 173, moving $579.42 to other expense, $657.03 to transfers out, for a total of $1,236.45. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations within the FY13 Community Corrections Fund 208, putting $1,457.87 to other expense, $112.43 to transfers out, for a total $1,570.30. I I have a supplement to the permit appropriations for the Seneca County Sewer District, 139, putting $2,790.33 into salaries, $18,033.08 into transfers out, for total $20,823.41. I have an appropriation adjustment within the general fund, moving $5,450 from precinct workers, salary workers, to equipment. And I have $10 moved from contract services to equipment for a total of $5,460. This is regarding those computers that they had come in and asked for, and after the election, they had some money available, so they moved it as you
Had it
requested.
available.
Yep.
Great.
Yep, so that was a plus, because they had originally asked for additional money.
Additional,
So
yeah.
we asked them to look at their budget, and they did find it.
Yep. I have a resolution authorizing an appropriation adjustment within the general fund, moving $2,445 from advertising to contract services, moving $611.31 from contract services to equipment, total $3,056.31. This is for additional appropriations for title searches for the prosecutor's office and a new computer. They're just moving money around. I have a supplement to the permit appropriations for the EMA Fund 102, putting $800 into the salary line. I have a decrease to the permit appropriations for the Safe Havens Fund 213, reducing $217,338.38. I have a decrease to the permit appropriations for the Community Housing Improvement Program Fund, CHIP Fund 157, reducing salaries $243.69, homeless prevention $7,083, private rehab $2,345, home building repair $8,550, WSOS administration $16,475, for a total reduction of $34,696.69. I have a supplement to the permit appropriations for the Workforce Investment Act Fund 066, putting $15,000 into contract services. I have a resolution authorizing a fund transfer be made to the Children's Services 078, moving $200,000 from the general fund transfers out to the 078 transfers in. I have a resolution authorizing a fund transfer be made to the Public Assistance Fund 030, moving $100,000 from our transfers out to the county share of the transfers in for Public Assistance Fund.
That was not the full amount budgeted, was it?
Yes,
That was.
it was 200 into the,
Did we already move some of that in the public assistance line?
we moved it, 100 of it to the 030 and 200 into the 078.
Yeah.
300 is what we had
I'm not
appropriated for
talking
that.
the foster care, I'm talking the next one, the public assistance.
They've already gotten,
Oh, okay.
they've already
All right,
requested
I
all that,
gotcha,
correct?
I got you.
I think, sorry.
I believe.
I have a decrease to the permit appropriations for the Moving Ohio Forward Fund 073, reducing salaries $12,444.16, reducing contract services $276,695.60, Medicare $180.44, workers' comp $342.21, PRS $1,742.18 for total reduction, $291,404.59. I have an appropriation adjustment within the general fund, set the request of juvenile probate court, moving $400 from contract services to supplies, $850 from advertising to equipment, $200 from foreign judges fees to equipment, $2,500 from contract services to supplies, total move $3,950. I have a supplement to the permit appropriations for the Juvenile Court Community Service Fund 175, putting $500 into contract services. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriation for the Delinquent Care and Custody Grant Fund, 162, putting $3,000 into contract services. I have a resolution authorizing an appropriation adjustment within the general fund, moving $1,111.80 from supplies to contract services and $500 from travel to other expense. This is a request of the treasurer's office for a total moved $1,611.80. I have an appropriation adjustment within the delinquent real estate tax fund, 021, moving $500 from supplies to contract services. I have a resolution authorizing the 2014 schedule of expenditures of federal award contract between Julian and Grube Incorporated and the Seneca County on behalf of the Seneca County Auditor for 2014. I have a reduction to the permanent appropriation for the EMA Attica Communications Fund, 146, reducing contract services by $7,500. I have a reduction to the permanent appropriations for the Citizens Corps Program Grant Fund, 154, reducing supplies, $108.15. I have a decrease to the permanent appropriations for the Homeland Security Fund, 206, reducing supplies, $16,712.63, equipment, $466.80, for total reduction, $179.43. I have a decrease to the permanent appropriations for the Water Pollution Control Loan Fund, 221, reducing contract services, $18,459. I have a resolution amending the reappointment of Brian Radigan to the County Law Library Resources Board. We put 2017, the term goes to 2019. Just gonna keep him around a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I have a resolution authorizing the sewer district billing and administrative contract agreement between Seneca Regional Planning Commission and the Seneca County Commissioners on behalf of the sanitary engineer. Same terms as it was before, just a renewal for the 3 years, no increase.
So that's fiscal year all of 14, 15, 16.
Yes. I have a resolution authorizing the Seneca County Board of Commissioners to sign a satisfaction of mortgage for Larry and Charlotte Burkett for the satisfaction of mortgage loan with the Seneca County Commissioners for work done through the Community Housing Improvement Program. I have a resolution for reappointing Paul Harrison to the WSOS Community Action Commission for a 1-year term commencing January 1st, 2014 and expiring December 31st, 2014. I have a resolution authorizing an amendment to the contract with M&B Asphalt for the Seneca County Road 20, County Road 36, County Road 62 pavement resurfacing with the change order number 1, contract 1304. I have a resolution authorizing an addendum to the agreement with Resource Solutions Associates on behalf of the Seneca County Emergency Management Agency ending December 31st, 2014. Just needed an extension. I have a resolution authorizing the VIP software upgrades, quote, SSIZ 1901/08 with Software Solutions. This is the one that the auditor came in and presented. We're not gonna appropriate the funds until 2014 because they won't do any of the work until then, but they needed a resolution to get started, so they wanted to make sure we were
Okay.
moving forward with that, and I have the quote attached. And I do have some additional, I can add in, or I can bring up both separately.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I have a supplement to the permit appropriations for the general fund. This is at the request of Veteran Services. They're requesting $1,000 into their grave marker lines. There was a bill that came in that they were not expecting. Tara had called. Mac is out. I guess he broke a rib, so so she was kind of in a panic trying to get some of the end of year things cleaned up, and
They're moving it from another line?
she doesn't know how her other lines are falling because Mac had just left. She's trying to figure out the financials, and she wanted just the additional $1,000 because she didn't know where else she could
They're-
pull from, because she doesn't do the budgets. Mac usually does.
They're
So
way ahead in their relief lines. and some of
yes,
those-
so that we'll be getting that back
Yeah.
when it falls in. I have. I have two of those. Those are the same ones. You only need 1,000. She must have done it and not paid attention. No, we only need 1,000. Put this one away. I have to ask Holly before I read this one. Are you okay with sitting on the WSOS Community Action
Yeah,
Commission
yeah.
for 1 year term?
Yeah, she didn't get my note back the other day because of the technology, but yes, I did agree.
Okay, so I have a resolution appointing Holly Stacy to the WSOS Community Action Commission for a 1 year term commencing January 1st, 2014 and expiring December 31st, 2014. The other one I will bring up separately.
All right, is there a motion on those resolutions?
I make a motion that we approve the amendments as outlined.
I will second.
Any discussion? A lot of money being moved around, a lot of this year-end cleanup, grants expiring and rolling over and different things. so.
I again apologize. I invited you guys in for a date, there wasn't a lot of activity. This is probably the most that we've done all year.
And there wasn't nothing scheduled for today, so.
All
Did we
right.
do that delinquent car one? 'Cause I was trying to check them off, but I kind of,
Liquid care and custody? I think we did.
our car, I said car, care. My car is delinquent, but that's beside the point.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
the 3,000.
All right, I just missed,
Yeah.
I tried to,
Check off
so
as
I,
you go.
yeah, and I missed that one. I'm going, I don't know.
I try to keep them in order, but sometimes it doesn't always happen.
Okay, roll call on those then?
Commissioner Zoller?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes. Okay, we have another one, you say?
I wanted to bring up, we had been.
I'm gonna sign this
um,
after we go out to the,
Okay.
You guys want to bring this up? We had looked into some ways. I had some departments asking about if there was any way to get any appreciation done for some employees throughout the year. Other departments had asked, and it kind of been thrown around to look into, a minimal thank you for a job well done for all the employees, and going over with some fundings we had available that were donated by private, which will in turn roll into the general fund, so it is taxable money, or taxpayers' money, but it was from a donation. We had some money available, and the thought was to purchase some gift certificates. It was brought up that maybe we could purchase the chamber bucks. That way, all the purchases would stay in the county, and there's a very large list that included all businesses, and I don't want to say all businesses, but majority of businesses in Seneca County. So these would be used in Seneca County for our employees. I had the auditor's office give me a count of employees, and it would be 376 employees. So if we did the $25 for the chamber bucks for each, it would be not to exceed the $9,400, which is under the amount that's been set aside for that cost.
So what we
I
have
think-
here is we have, so I make sure I understand. We have a private donation that come into the county to be used for a suggestion program.
Yep.
And since there is funds available in that, even though those would eventually roll over in the county funds, they started out as private
Yes.
donations. So we would take part of those funds that was used for a suggestion program that are still available there, and we would take those funds and purchase a a small token of our appreciation for the efforts that the county employees have, for the effort they put in this year. And that would be in in what's called chamber bucks.
Yep.
So those funds could be spent at any business establishment that is part of the chamber in Seneca County. So this contribution towards our token of appreciation would have added benefit to the county, that it would roll over into purchases that Seneca County help area businesses, and the county would receive tax benefit from it through sales tax purchases. So it's a way of rolling things over and over with, to say thank you to our employees and thank you to businesses that are part of the chamber, and win-win.
I think we have a very hardworking workforce. They've helped us to operate efficiently. I think that's why the funds didn't get used to the original thought of finding more efficiencies out there. They've already done that, so it's a very small token of appreciation that says thank you, it says Merry Christmas, and it supports the local businesses that are in that program with the chamber.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we would adopt that resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any more discussion on this? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Zoller?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes. All right, thank you. Anything else?
I have 81 Jefferson Street. It's been come to our attention that there's a leak in the roof. It's causing some damage to the top floor. We have money in our maintenance, so I had okayed the first leak that's being done because we've got the ceiling coming down. So that one was it was an emergency. We had to get it done, so they're gonna fix that. It's about $2,500. When they were up on the roof trying to figure out the issue on where that was leaking, they noticed on where the old commissioner's offices used to be up there, there's some rotting down the side of that wall. Currently, as we can see visually, there's not any leaks, but it's a very good possibility. It's doing the same thing that's causing this leak. The quote to fix that is a little more because it's a larger area. I did not approve. I wanted to bring to you. The quote on that one is $5,938 to get that done. Like I said, he didn't tear into the ceiling to see up above if it was leaking there yet, but there's nothing coming in. But he can see the area that it's deteriorating like the other side of the roof did. So I didn't know if you wanted to hold off and work on it in the spring. It's probably not the greatest time to work on a roof, but the other one we had some.
Is there any way, I know we got a lot of stuff in there from Marion Ward and so on, there's really no other place to put that stuff, is there? I'd love to sell that building.
And we tried the 1 year.
Depending on information whenever we hear back from the Board of Elections on
There might be some space in the basement
that,
there.
maybe
huh?
we'd end up with some space there. I don't know if that'd be adequate. I'd like a little time to look at that before doing anything today, and
Okay.
maybe we can ask them. I don't know where they're at. Either it's kind of in their court to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
back with us, but
We certainly have to fix it, but you just gotta wait till the spring.
That's fine.
There's just nothing you can do this time of year that,
It sure would be nice if that did work out with the Board of Elections, move Mary's stuff over there. That would be handy
Yeah.
and get rid of that building.
yeah, unless rooftops.
so the what, the Board of Election could go over there? Is
Well,
that what
if
you're proposing?
Board of
No.
Elections goes where we've offered them space out at Job and Family, if they end up going there, which we don't know.
They've got space in the basement of that
Oh,
building they're
in the-
in. That is the storage of all the machines that would go
You could
Mhm.
Go out there with
move
them.
stuff in there.
Not their
We've
space
got
that
it,
we would,
yeah.
could rent for retail or something like that, but the space in the basement.
Long-term, we have to do something. When I was first elected and they showed me all the nooks and crannies in this county where they store records at, that it is, it's atrocious. I mean, it's a nightmare waiting to happen.
Yeah. Did you have anything else?
The only thing else I wanted to ask, I think we brought it up at the beginning of the year. Our board session currently is scheduled, is it next week, the week after? Christmas
The week
Eve. We have, if you follow our rotation, it would fall on Christmas Eve. We do have board session the 26th that we're planning on having that Thursday. I thought the thoughts of the board then were to cancel that one because we'll have a the final board day on the 26th, but
I
I
would
wanted to
make a
make sure.
recommendation, we cancel Christmas Eve. Not cancel Christmas Eve. Wow, that didn't come across very well, did it? I can see the hate mail now. We canceled a board meeting on, Commissioners' board meeting on Christmas Eve. Boy, that didn't come out very well.
Okay, yeah, I think that would be wise.
Okay.
Holly and I do have a ribbon cutting here at
Yeah.
11:30, so we're kinda anxious to get out of here.
We could fly.
If that's, do they have anything else that has to come up?
All I want to do is, and this has got to do with Fostory, and I absolutely apologize. They had an Eagle Scout Levi Galloway that was last Sunday. I looked at my phone, it was 4:30, and I was supposed to be there at 3. But there's a proclamation that we have signed that I'm connected with the mayor, got connected with the mayor. I'm gonna give the young gentleman a call. I'm gonna go over there sometime this week, and I apologize for not being there. Please get that in the paper, and I'll read this proclamation to him. That's it, I'll shut up.
Okay, any public comment today? All right, you folks are gonna stick around for a bit. Fred's gonna meet with these
Yep,
guys,
yep,
and then
yep.
we got a ribbon cutting over at the new Ag Credit
Yep.
Building, so. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded. Get out of here.
All right, we'll see you next